Planet Vero Studio is powered by the Nolan Group of eXp Realty. MyNextHomeFinder.com.
Welcome to Treasure Coast Community Health. We have 8 locations to serve you better. Our staff is dedicated to help you and your family. Here's your host, Vicki Soule.
Good afternoon and welcome to Community Conversations. As the intro said, I'm Vicki Soule, the CEO of Treasure Coast Community Health. We provide primary medical, dental, behavioral health, x-ray, pharmacy, and soon, again, we'll be doing more optical services for our community. And so each week when we have guests come on board, sometimes the connection between primary care, the health of humans, and what the organizations bring to us is very apparent. Sometimes it's a little more oblique. I would say today is probably right in the middle. I have as our guest today Kendra Cope, who's been with us before from Coastal Connections, and many of you know her as the Sea Turtle Lady. But she's breaking her image because, like all of us, her organization has evolved and is doing some different things. Not that the original mission isn't very important. And I did ask her as we sat down here in the studio, so it's turtle season, right? We can talk about it? She goes, well, yeah.
Yeah, it is turtle season. And as your 501c3 nonprofit organization dedicated to the protection and recovery of sea turtles here in Indian River County, you know, we love getting to talk about turtles, but we also like getting to talk about some of our other initiatives that help protect turtles, but maybe in a slightly different way.
So one of the things that people are always telling me is about the newcomers that are here that have transplanted from up north. And, you know, the yellow plane, the corn snakes, you know, we hear and see all of these little ribbing things about the differences that we have. So if you had someone brand new to town and you had 3 things that you want them to know about turtle nesting season, what would they be?
The first would be that we would love for you to come out in the middle of turtle nesting season, which is March 1st through October 31st. Oh my goodness.
Sorry, we didn't pre-discuss this. I'm sorry to put you on the spot.
March 1st through October 31st. And in the summer, we would love for you to join our group out on the beach to see a sea turtle and just get to know a little bit more about why they're so important in the first place. Why are so many people dedicated to seeing these critters and these species survive and ultimately recover from the endangered species list? And that's definitely number one, is come out, meet our team, join our family, and learn why what we do is so important.
Now, when you say join our team, are you talking daytime or nighttime?
Both, to be honest. So at nighttime, especially right now, it's June. So we're doing nighttime turtle walks where we get to bring a small group of individuals with our trained and permitted personnel onto the beach to see a nesting loggerhead as she makes her nest and returns to the ocean. We had one last night. It was phenomenal. We're on a good track record. I hope I didn't just jinx it.
Yeah, really, knock on wood.
But no, it's just been such an amazing experience to see so many people who travel here specifically to see sea turtles, because it is such a unique thing to be a part of that experience.
Definitely is.
Just seeing how their faces light up and just like how exciting it is for them to take information they just learned in a small presentation and be like, wow, this is happening and this is emotional. And can you imagine what it's like to be this mom who's committed to coming up on this beach and being the best parent she can by finding the best place and the best beach to lay her nest. And she picks Vero, which is pretty awesome.
It really is. When I would get frustrated in raising my teenage boys, I would mutter to myself, next time I'm coming back as a sea turtle, because they have the best part of it. They lay their eggs and then they go back to the water. Bye.
See you later.
And the humans take over.
Right.
But I love my boys, and so those were passing thoughts that I tried to keep to myself. But having said that, can they go to your website? I mean, it's not just like show up on any beach and hope that Kendra's there, right?
Exactly. It's the best way to do anything or to get connected with our team is to go on our website, which is coastal-connections.org, and we'll have a live event calendar where everybody is welcome to join us on any of those posted events and meet all of our team. Because it's not just Kendra, the turtle lady. It is a massive team of dedicated individuals in our community that love what we do, and we want to bring you into the family.
Yeah, so, when I went to the beach cleanup last year, it was like, oh my goodness, look at all these people that are wearing Coastal Connection t-shirts.
Oh, yes.
And so you have built an amazing team, and that is wonderful. The other thing I wanted to ask is about beach cleanups.
Yeah.
And it probably ties into the real reason that you wanted to talk to us today.
Yeah. And so one of our big initiatives is called Vero Go Zero. It's a grassroots community sustainability initiative that is really focused on getting the town of Vero, or our area, down to zero single-use plastics. But we also are focused on getting rid of all of our trash, so also zero trash, right?
Okay.
So it's a double approach here, where we're trying to, again, eliminate those plastics that are known to be harmful to our environment, and then also removing all the debris that, again, is not aesthetically pleasing, but ultimately harmful for our environment. And so I wanted to talk about 2 new studies that were published in May.
Great.
So just last month, that are really talking about some of the debris items that we find here locally in Vero and also worldwide. And so one of the studies was really focused on wet wipes. So when COVID began back in 2020, the increased use of PPE occurred, and we all remember seeing that. And then also that meant the increased observations of PPE items on the beaches or in our waterways started showing up. And this recent study was finding that just like cigarette butts, where they are used as a sponge, they're meant to absorb toxins and chemicals. Turns out that these wet wipes are doing the exact same thing. They're acting as a sponge, and they're absorbing bacteria and viruses, and it turns out that they're able to prolong life on top of these wet wipes. So you can almost, if you find a wet wipe that is out in the environment, it is very likely that it still has live bacteria on it. And so these wet wipes are serving as vectors, spreading resistant bacteria to different places, especially in our oceans as our currents move our trash around. So it just shows how important it is to put our trash in the proper trash receptacle so it's not escaping out into the environment.
Yeah, when you were talking about the wet wipes absorbing the bacteria, I'm thinking, is that a bad thing? I mean, the bacteria is there.
But they're living, and they're procreating, and they're continuing to be resistant to any...
they're using it as a media, actually,
yes,
to continue the growth, as opposed to just absorbing what's there.
And typically, if you have resistant bacteria, those are not the bacteria you want living around you.
So true, so true.
And then the other study was about plastics. I think a lot of us have heard over the years how detrimental plastics have been to our environment, and how we now have this floating garbage patch out in the middle of the ocean. And the majority of that garbage patch is made up of the plastics. And we know for a fact that trees didn't create plastics. Frogs didn't create plastics. Humans are the founding reasons why plastics exist. And it's our responsibility to clean up after ourselves. And so what this one other study published last month was finding is that the surface area of these plastics, which are known, all plastic never goes away. It just breaks down to smaller pieces. And every time it does that, that's more increased surface area for these bacteria, specifically harmful algal bloom, algae. Sorry.
Really?
So algae, dinoflagellates in particular, that are producing harmful toxins. They're finding a home and a refuge on the surfaces of these plastic materials, and they're procreating, which then can lead to more harmful algal blooms and other things that are quite important to critical areas like the Indian River Lagoon, or even areas on the west coast of Florida with red tide. So if we're eliminating a home for these algae to settle and colonize, then we're doing a better job at protecting our waters and all of the critters and the
Makes me want to grab a net and go out and
clean it all up.
Clean the whole thing.
Yeah, it's just so interesting how studies can continue to generate just so many good facts showing the importance of just picking up behind ourselves, putting things in the right receptacles, and of course, recycling every time we possibly can.
And so do you work with our recycling groups here? Because one of the things that I find difficult to believe is that the businesses can't recycle. I mean, we could if we want to take it all back to our personal homes. But there really isn't a great way for small businesses to recycle. And yet people have water and sodas and all those other things.
Absolutely. That's a challenge that I think some really important people at the county government level are working on.
Good.
Or even the city government level are working on. But you're not incorrect in saying that there are challenges related to recycling if you're talking on the corporate or business level. Mm-hmm. We have an amazing recycling, single stream recycling program available at no cost to our residents so that every house can have a recycling bin in it. Now, it's our businesses that at this point still have to pay. And unfortunately, it's not always an affordable expense for those smaller mom and pop boutique shops that we want to keep around and keep Vero.
Right.
And so one of the things that our organization is doing through our Vero Go Zero initiative is working with the small businesses. If they're willing to collect the single-use plastic film or wrapping material, you know, for instance, you'll get it around your dry cleaning when you pick up your dry cleaning, or it's around the packaging around a case of water bottles. That material can be recycled, just not in the traditional blue bin. It just has a special recycling mechanism. We will go collect that for them for free and go and recycle it, right, for free, and recycle it for them. And they can then continue to get a credit for the amount or the poundage of that material that they recycled every year. And we'll give them an annual update on what they recycled is for ESG credits and anything else they might need for new financial institutions with the new rule that came out. So, yeah, we're very excited to be working with tons of small businesses in town. I think we just added 2 more, making our total 12. Including Rio Mar Country Club, and I think we're going to start working with the Moorings as well. So we're very excited to be branching out in our community all over to increase our recycling effort.
So aside from bottles, which are obviously a container that we all use, I remember 2 years ago you were working on straws. And how has that initiative been going?
That's super fun question, because I will say there is just so much energy and resources being pumped into renewable and recyclable or compostable items, right? Yeah. The single-use items. And one of the most common single-use items is that straw. And we all remember that very emotional video of a straw being pulled out of a sea turtle's nose in Costa Rica. And that really just set the tone and changed the face of what straws meant to so many people around the world. And I just came across a new company that is out of California, I believe, and they're manufacturing out in Missouri straws made from farmed seaweed.
Farmed seaweed straws. Now, yes. Who would have guessed?
It is so interesting. So if anyone knows kind of the background of how plastics work, plastics all come in the very initial form as these itty bitty small pellets made of the chemical composition of whatever their base compound is. There's a couple different types of chemical compounds that make up plastics. That's what your numbers signify on your bottles or your bags or anything like that. So they come in these small, tiny pellets that can be melted down and manipulated to make whatever shape or form or strength that you're looking for. Well, what this company is doing is making these tiny pellets out of this seaweed, which is compostable and biodegradable at the same rate as at least they advertise, a banana peel.
Wow.
So it's really, really neat. And that's a whole new, different, renewable resource that we can be tapping into because it's easily farmed. And we can find plenty of it washing up as climate change continues and more algae and seaweed continues to be developed or grow. So it's just a really interesting renewable resource.
You're a really smart lady. You know that?
It's just really fun fun stuff. I hope everyone gets as excited as I do about plastic. Oh my goodness.
Well, I'm going to let them cogitate on that for a moment while we listen to a word from our sponsors, and then we'll come back with more exciting discussions.
Yes.
The new year is underway, and it's time to schedule your annual physical. This quick, comprehensive visit can uncover diabetes, high blood pressure, and even cancer, ultimately saving your life. Treasure Coast Community Health waives Medicare deductibles and offers a sliding fee scale discount, so everyone can afford to take care of their health. We can't fix what we don't know. Let's work together to make a healthier community. Call us today at 772-257-TCCH. We're a nonprofit.
At Sunshine Furniture, our 35,000 square foot showroom is filled with the largest selection of in-stock coastal furniture on the Treasure Coast. Dining and bedroom sets, occasional tables, sofas, sleeper sofas, love seats, and chairs, including lots of slipcover styles from Universal, Four Seasons, and Capri. We also have a gallery of Tommy Bahama and Lexington furniture with styles designed for a relaxed approach to the finer things in life. Right now, we're having a summer sale with lots of great markdowns, including all pictures, lamps, and accessories half price. Sunshine Furniture, $12.95 US 1 in Vero Beach next to Planet Fitness. Family owned and operated since 1991. Don't forget to visit our outlet and closeout store directly across the street and visit our website at sunshinefurniturecasual.com.
Sunshine Furniture brightens up your day. Sunshine Furniture, the best in every way. Ooh, have a sunshine day. Sunshine.
The Boom is back. Boom on the Lagoon. A day of music, fun, and fireworks. Presented by Mulligan's Beach House and Dale Sorensen Real Estate. The fun starts at 5 o'clock on the 4th of July at Riverside Park in Vero Beach with music by Johnny and the Blaze, food trucks, and contests galore. Brought to you by the City of Vero Beach, Indian River County, A Better Solution Insurance, C.W. Willis Family Farms, and Evergreen Media. Boom on the Lagoon. The 4th of July fireworks celebration at Riverside Park in Vero Beach.
And welcome back to Community Conversations. If you're just joining us, my name is Vicki Soule. I'm the CEO of Treasure Coast Community Health. And as most of you know, we provide primary care. That means doctors, dentists, pharmacists, you name it. Our goal is to keep you as healthy as possible at an affordable rate. So we turn no one away. If you haven't got a regular provider, please give us a call. Let us set up an appointment to reassure you about the way payments are made. And typically, the less you make, the less you pay. So we really want to improve the health of the community. But today, for my radio show, we're talking about water health, basically, environmental health. And that doesn't mean that I'm a tree hugger. Actually, I guess in the water, there aren't many trees, so I'm not sure what the water equivalent is. But I've got Kendra Cope here, and she's been talking about not only sea turtles and the health of our lagoon, but overall environmental water health, because as we all know, if you have a swimming pool, if you have an accident at the shallow end, it still affects the deep end. And our waterways are no different. What happens here, ultimately with currents and everything else, does affect the total water environment. So it's important that we understand what we as humans have done, can do, and should be doing. And so Kendra's our local expert on that. She's just wowed me with some of the things that we've talked about. Because she earlier said that there's different things than plastics for straws. And she said, she referenced something in the Midwest. And I have family in Iowa that does farming. And of course, corn's a big deal. And she started off on all the substitutes for plastic. And of course, I have a hard time just connecting that plastic start as little balls that,
Yep.
little
pellets.
Little pellets that get changed into moldable shapes.
Mm-hmm.
So tell us, for those kids amongst us that don't have your science knowledge, what kinds of things are we looking at substituting plastic with?
So that's such a loaded question, and I'm so excited to be here talking about this. And we have a plastic alternatives catalog that we post on our website so that anybody who's interested in other biodegradable or compostable supplements or alternatives to single-use plastics, they can check it out there. But ultimately, corn is probably one of the first ones that was ever explored as a substitute, because corn is such an intense crop that's grown in the United States. But corn works well, but there's so many other renewable resources that have been utilized in the past few years to create alternatives to single-use plastics. And that could be straws, but it could also be cutlery or your utensils, your bowls, anything of that sort. So sugarcane, when sugarcane is squeezed out through a juicing mechanism, at the end of after all the squeezing is done, it creates this very filamentous pulp that's left over, because sugarcane's a grass in the grass family. And normally it's thrown away, but you can actually break that down into a really cool pulp that can be utilized for straws in particular. We love sugarcane straws, but at the same time also something called bagasse, which is it's a product that's used to create bowls that kind of look papery, but they're actually sugarcane.
How cool is that?
And even some cutlery. There's, used coffee grounds have started to be used. The seed of avocados. So you kind of pick, where do you live and what resources is abundant to you, and how can that renewable resource be, translated into a usable product. Another one is agave that's coming up. And then pasta is a great supplement for straws as well. And of course, then what we just talked about, which is a brand new product coming out, being tested on the market now, and that is farmed seaweed, which is super cool.
Seaweed, that is so cool. So much better than the idea of paper straws, because again, having come through the Carolinas and seeing all the lumber trucks and the idea that we're cutting down beautiful trees that also generate a healthier environment and oxygen formation, that we're cutting them down so that we don't have plastics, but we're using it for paper straws. It's just like, no, that can't be right.
Finding a way to use a renewable item that would have then been trashed. So like the seed of your avocado, or, the leftovers of agave when after making tequila, something like that, all of that would have normally been trashed, and turning that into a new product is such a great way to, advance sustainability in our community and also in our place that we like to call home.
See, boys and girls, all those science fair projects are worth it.
They absolutely are. Never give up on science. It's really cool.
That's right.
Yeah.
So what other interesting things do you think we should know? Because we're science zero, for this show.
Knowing that, I think the biggest thing and the biggest takeaway we would love for you as a listener to know is that every tiny change or behavior or action that you take does in fact make a difference. So whether you go outside and you pick up that one piece of trash, but you do one piece of trash every day, and then somebody else watches you and they start picking up one piece of trash every day, what might be one piece of trash to you quickly and rapidly can turn into thousands upon hundreds of thousands of pieces of trash, which then can create the best snowball you'll ever want. And so don't ever think that your action is meaningless, but just take control of that action and think about what is it that you can do in your daily life to save sea turtles and also just protect our environment.
Absolutely. And I want to give kudos to all the dog walkers who are now walking around with little plastic bags, feeling foolish, but saving the environment one baggie at a time. There's a lot of different ways that together we can keep this planet something proudly environmentally good for our grandchildren and great-grandchildren and so forth.
They get to enjoy it just as much as we do. We want that to happen.
Well, thank you for being with us today, Kendra, and all the things that you do. And again, tell us your website, because it sounds like it's got a lot of really cool things there.
It does. There's so much to learn on our website. Learn about our initiatives, including our Vero Go Zero initiative. And that's coastal-connections.org.
That's wonderful. And thank you all for being with us today. And next week, we'll have another exciting guest with a timely topic. Have a great evening, all.